Hello everyone, welcome to Tactica, Imperialis and to today's video. Today is episode 83 of Adeptus Podcastus, and I know what you're thinking. Wait, I got the last episode. What's going on here? Why have I got an odd-numbered episode? As I mentioned in the last show, Remleiz is not here. He is on holiday, getting a much-deserved rest, probably reading far more than sense would ever dictate. So you're stuck with me. But I'm not just going to sit here and talk for 2 hours, because that would kill my voice and also bore you half to death. So I went and got a much-requested guest. Ladies, gentlemen, Xenos of all ages and everything in between, I give you Chapter Master Valrak.
Hello, everybody. Or should I say welcome back to another video, as I normally say. Hello.
Yes, some people like to do their own intros and some people just have fun. So yes, we got Valrak. Granted, unfortunately, it just fell on a show where Rem wasn't here. Sorry about that.
No problem.
But they're now in the guest pool, so, well, Throne help us on episode 100. You know what? It's Rem's problem now. He's got the even numbers. That's his problem. So, in the news this week, both a lot and not a lot. Probably the headline article, I would say, for the past couple of weeks has been Blood and Glory. The Blood and Glory studio preview, or whatever they call these things these days. The last preview of the year. And we got to see a mix of things. Some for 40k, some for AOS. And, yeah, a good show.
Yeah, I'd mainly say it was a more of an AOS kind of reveal. But they did show some pretty big things for 40k. I did enjoy the sister stuff and everything like that. But the Faith and Fury stuff is always going to be a big one for me, because I absolutely adore what they're doing with that storyline. Though, apparently, the first book didn't really advance the story that much, I've been told. I haven't sat down and read it, but people say there wasn't really big changes. I'm hoping that the next one is much more narrative driven and maybe there's a clear winner. That's a thing that I tend to dislike sometimes with GWs. Like, they leave it as a stalemate. I understand why they leave it as a stalemate, so people can do it their own kind of way. But I do like, a winner or a loser. Even if Chaos wins, I'll give them a planet so I can take it back in the future.
Yeah, totally fair. I think what I heard about Blood of the Phoenix, and I don't know if this is even a spoiler, is someone dies. There is actually a winner, but there's not really a winner, because this is the Eldari and therefore this is the Ynnari. So all deaths are off, really, which is what I heard. Again, like you, I haven't sat down and read Blood of the Phoenix, because I've just been too damn busy and buying AOS battle tomes every 5 seconds. But yeah, Faith and Fury is probably not a bad place to start. So that's Psychic Awakening 2, for those who weren't aware. And we've got Imperium and Chaos. Yeah, we're back there again. With the Sisters and the Black Templars taking on basically every traitor legion that doesn't already have a supplement come codex of its own. So no Black Legion, because they got Vigilus. No Thousand Suns, no Death Guard, but the other 6 traitor legions are present and correct, and they are getting, essentially, out of this book, supplements.
Yeah, it's like a codex supplement. Like I said to a couple of friends, it either could be the greatest book they've ever done, or the crappiest book they've ever done, depending on how much content. Because there's a lot of, you've got the Iron Warriors, the Emperor's Children, Word Bearers, Alpha Legion, Night Lords, and
Word Bearers.
World Eaters. Yeah, well, of course, World Eaters. And if you have all that in like one book, hopefully they give them enough attention. Like they get a bunch of stratagems, they get a bunch of relics and stuff. I'm just scared like they're just going to do like a page each for one of them, and it's going to be like a kind of a demo version of a supplement codex, and people are going to be really fed up by it and say, "Oh, we want it all."
I think that's possible. It's possible, but we did see Phoenix Rising did give us supplements for Craft World, supplement tier specializations for Craft Worlds and Drakarian stuff. Granted, it wasn't on the level of supplements, because it was more like bringing them into line with Codex Space Marines rather than the Codex supplements for Space Marines, but there is at least some track record of them giving them some good stuff. I don't know how powerful it is. I'm not into that side of the hobby particularly, but they have tried it before and it didn't bomb, seems to be the impression I got, so I'm willing to give it a go. The one thing that I'm not sure about, and I'm interested in this really, is are we going to get any new models for the legions? Because all of the Codex Loyalist legions got a unique model, whether it was Torgaradon, whether it was Agatone. I keep wanting to say Agatoni because I've got Pastor on the brain.
You got the Ascended.
And so on and so forth.
The Primaris guys.
All the... Yeah, they all got one. But the Chaos Legions, some have had models updated. For example, Khan. Some have got old models that need an update. For example, Lucius and Bile.
Yep.
And some have got no models at all. And the Black Templars also fascinate me because I want Primaris Grimaldus. Yes, I said it. So I'm interested to see what models, if any, we get, because this is going to probably come out either just before or just after the Sisters. I should point disclaimer. I've not read the leaked timetable, and we're not talking about it here because I don't like spoilers. So I don't know what's coming out when. All I know is, you have.
I have, so I have to tread on thin ice this conversation. Well, from the article, we know we get the Sorcerer. So the Sorcerer is definitely bang on for the Chaos guys. And technically, you could paint him in any Legion, let's say, and or Warband or whatever, and do it that way. I was really surprised. They basically never shown off any Black Templar characters. Personally, and this is probably my fandom coming out as an Imperial boy, I would have preferred a Black Templar new character over a new Chaos Sorcerer. Again, like you said, like Primaris Grimaldus, I wouldn't mind Grimaldus, Helbrecht, or even a brand new Primaris Emperor Champion. Because the way that they have been gearing this whole Space Marine launch and the Space Marine army as a whole is towards the Primaris. I know a lot of people are quite upset with, of course, they like the whole Firstborn Marines, they call themselves now. But I think the business strategy from GW is to eventually turn everything into Primaris.
Yeah, it's a sad truth, but at the same time, we'll get onto the Christmas Battle Forces in a bit. They're not abandoning the Firstborn line yet.
Oh no, yeah.
Okay, put your Imperial Fist bias into full effect. You get one Primaris Black Templar. Who is it? Because you're only going to realistically get one.
Well, if I had to pick one, and this is solely down to the book, and that is Hell's Reach, and that is Grimaldus, because his character, the story that surrounds him, what he's done is just amazing. I love him so much. Absolutely love him.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm going to say Grimaldus.
Yeah, I'd say Grimaldus too, mainly for me, because Grimaldus is one of those too ridiculous to die people, because he's one of those people who has had a temple dropped on his head and not died.
Yep.
He's one of those...
A literal temple dropped on his head, and he's like, just a headache.
Yeah,
a bit.
And all that. So if anyone's going to be mentally strong enough to just do it, especially because in Hell's Reach, granted I don't know how much this changed between Hell's Reach and the 8th edition codex, or the 8th edition 1.0 codex that he was probably in. I don't know if they've advanced his character or his lore, because in Hell's Reach he was not quite suicidal, but he wasn't afraid to die, and was quite willing to die. Beyond a normal Space Marine's tolerance for willing to die.
Yeah, there's been a few short stories with him after that, with the Celestial Lions and everything that happened to those poor buggers. But really, there's been no mention of him. I am hoping that in this Faith in the Fury book, the lore actually mentions him and tells us where he is. And it's the same with Helbrecht as well. I haven't... The last time we saw him, he was like going after Gaz's skull. And that was it. And that's the last time we heard of him. So I'm really hoping that this book just gives us a little information on where these characters are, during the Great Rift.
That he did first, because
Imhotep took his arm off, and he's got like a kind of a vengeance against him. He's a big grudge against him. He will go after him.
Yeah, that was when he was Marshal, but I don't know when he, because I know he got payback on Imhotep.
I think he blew up his ship or something, didn't he, or something like that.
Yeah, I just can't remember.
Big to him.
I just can't remember which happened before or after Gazkul. That's all. But that will...
I think Gazkul's the latest stuff in the lore, if I'm not mistaken. But
I'm inclined to agree. So yeah, that sorcerer is also the cover art, and he's in Wordbearer colours in the cover art, which suggests that this... unnamed sorcerer may actually be a bit more important than we're making out. Either way, I really like the design of the miniature. Like the classic dragon's head backpacks. The staff is really cool. There's one thing actually I have a bit of a bugbear about Chaos Space Marine models in particular. They really stuff them with details. There's almost no flat space on them.
I think this is the thing with a lot of Chaos models now, especially with the Death Guard. The phrase I use is that they're a bit too busy. That's why, I would never paint Chaos anyway because it's absolutely heretical. But if I was to do it, I just wouldn't know where to start. There's just so much going on, which scares me as a painter. Like, do I start with this first? Do I start? Where do I start?
Yeah,
there's so much. It's a gorgeous model, like you said. But I think yes, you're probably going to be needing to be a pretty decent painter to tackle that and to make it look kind of good.
Yeah, that's fair. But if you are a fan of big panels of flat spaces, but also like your filigree and ostentation, shall we point you to the Sisters of Battle's brand new Exorcist?
Oh boy. Oh yeah, I was saying to some friends, I think these are the best tanks I've witnessed from GW. It's harkening back to me to what really attracted me to 40k, where it was just the sheer audacity of the design, which kind of makes no sense, but it's beautiful and it's magnificent all in the same go. It's fantastic. I love them all. I love all the little bits on them and everything, like just the little statues poking out here and there, the cherubs and stuff, even though the cherubs in 40k really scare me. They're like one of these things that are just like these little babies. So it's like, what? Like little pigeon babies. They really scare me.
Yeah, there was a little lore article on cherubs, I think.
Yeah, there was, yeah.
The only thing that confused me, and someone in my comments clarified that the second image is the immolator because the image is literally immolator.jpg.
Yeah.
But why would you give your APC with a transport hatch on top a stained glass window? Like, I know Ecclesiarchy, Sororitas doesn't really need to play by the rules of logic, but I thought, hang on, are we getting like a battle tank and then getting a separate thing for the immolator? I kind of got my hopes up a little too much there.
This is just 40k. It's just the sheer audacity of it. If you actually look at the top picture with the Exorcist, the sister who's actually driving that actually has a stained glass helmet, like a visor. It's so 40k. And apparently, someone linked me an old John Blanche art piece from way back, and it's apparently taken from that, where the sister has that exact helmet, but in his kind of art. So I think the designers are using a lot of old art as references and stuff. Again, the sheer audacity and it's just madness, how it works. It's like, how do I see through this? Oh, well.
Absolutely.
Faith of the Emperor shall guide me.
Absolutely,
there we do.
Yeah.
We've got it.
So yeah, the Sisters will be coming out either before or after Faith and Fury. Again, no spoilers, not Reddit, don't tell me. But we also got a tease for Psychic Awakening 3 right at the end.
Oh, boy.
Mephiston is back. And I think, from very clever sleuthing from Rem and other people online, they're using his second edition artwork as the basis for the model. Which, if you haven't seen it, he sort of stood with his sword across his body, cloak billowing out to one side. Find Rem's
wiping
Twitter.
His mouth.
That's probably the best.
Yeah, he's like wiping his mouth. Like, I think it's either blood on his mouth or something like that, and he's like kind of wiping it. But I've seen like some guy who took the art piece and then took the trailer images and like jigsawed it together, and it was really good. So yeah, it's 99.9% got to be that. I'm sure there's going to be a little bit of changes here and there. Like some of the blood vials on the front didn't match the artwork, so I think it's just going to be some of that kind of stuff. But it's that's going to be the model, and apparently, as they were mentioning in the video, that's going to be revealed at the end of the month at the 40k event. So that should be fun, and hopefully the third book as well, because I'm really interested to see what they do with his character. Again, will he become a Primaris Mephiston?
I'm inclined to say no, because Mephiston is one of those characters who is unique. Obviously, he's a ridiculous mega psyker. He's touched the Tyrannid hive mind and lived. He's basically had a chat in Khorne's domain with Kabanda and lived. And he's also died, I think, twice, and gone to the Black Rage at least twice. So I feel like almost, if there's anyone you can't Primaris, it would be meth. Now, that's not to say I don't want a Primaris Blood Angel, but I want Primaris Dante. Because...
yeah.
Let me explain that, because I feel like that's going to stir up some trouble. Dante is a character who, in the Devastation of Baal, and we had got some information about the sequel to that. I think we talked about that on the last show, I think. We know that Dante is old. He's exceptionally old.
Yep, he's old. He's very old.
He's kind of at the point of, oh God, I'm done with this. Just let it be over. And it's implied at the end of Devastation of Baal that Sanguinius himself, whether it is Sanguinius himself, boots him back to the land of the living so that he can meet Guilliman and become the Warden of Imperium Nihilus. Now, I feel like that being inspired in such a way by a Primarch and re-energized as the Warden, which may or may not be his lore. I can't remember the Blood Angel's code off the top of my head.
Yeah, he's basically the King of the North, as I like to call him. It's just I just Game of Thrones it. That's what he is to be. He's the King of the North.
Yeah. And the beauty of what I think they can do with him is if he's re-energized and he's now commanding a vast horde of Primaris. Basically, he's got a legion of Primaris under his command through the Blood Angels and their successors. I feel like he's a perfect one to go Primaris and also fix his absolutely ancient and awful model.
Do you know what? I actually enjoy his model. Like I enjoy some of the old school models. Again, when you put them against the new ones, they look crappy. But
yeah, there's nothing wrong with the design. It just needs an update.
It just needs an update. Yeah, it just needs to make him more flashy, let's say. But yeah, I completely agree with you. He's in the position now where really I think he's more or less like the second in command of the Imperium, kind of. I know you have the whole High Lords and stuff like that, but when you look at the Imperium as a whole in two separate parts, it's kind of like the East and like the East Roman Empire and stuff like that. Like they've kind of done, where you have like two separate leaders, and Dante is one of those leaders. So he controls a lot of assets. So he is a big power player, and yeah, he definitely deserves a model. Harkening back to your comment about Mephiston, I think he's going to be Primaris though. I really do.
Okay.
Again, just what we talked about at the start of the video about GW and the whole business going forward being Primaris and stuff like that. I really do think that's the way they go with him. And if they do go with him and he is Primaris, again, I think that's a massive hint in the direction. But if they don't, like you say, then maybe there is some hope for Firstborn Marines, and they won't eventually fade out into just everything's Primaris.
Yeah, and like I say, we'll get to those Christmas Battle Forces, which is almost entirely Firstborn, at least for the Blood Angels one. Now, what I'm curious about with Psychic Awakening 3 is who are they going to fight? Because we've had Imperium v Chaos now in Faith and Fury, so who are the Blood Angels going to fight? Will it be Tyranids again in sort of a rematch for the Devastation of Baal, but the Blood Angels are back to power? Will it be another Xenos threat? Will it just be recycling and doing Chaos again, which would probably be the most boring option? I'm just not sure.
Well, this is one of the most confusing things. I've been lost on this, and a lot of people have been lost. The whole Psychic Awakening is happening apparently at the same time the Great Rift happened. This is what's been happening. It's starting at the start of the Indominus Crusade. They haven't really made it clear, because if you've been reading the books like Dark Imperium, Plague Wars and stuff, the Indominus Crusade, so basically the whole Psychic Awakening stuff that we're witnessing, has more or less come to an end in those books. So they've kind of spoiled it in a way where we know certain characters return, certain characters stay alive, certain characters do certain deeds. So it's a kind of because when I first heard about the Psychic Awakening, I thought this was happening during or just after the stories of the Plague Wars book with Guilliman and Mortarion and stuff like that, but apparently not. It's going back to the start of the Indominus Crusade. One of the latest articles that they put out is apparently going to clear up the timeline very, very soon. So I'm interested to read that and just see what is kind of going on, because I am very confused.
Yeah, and it's been interesting, probably because of all that chicanery, that codices now don't have dates. And I think GW did it on purpose, not because they wanted to not canonize the timeline of the modern era, but because the pre-Rift era had gotten so messy with the conflicting dates and people being able to cross-reference everything that it just lost people. So they got rid of the dates entirely. And they had a reason for it because of the whole, the warp screws with time. Everyone's on different clocks now, and they are with the Tempus Indomitus. So it's definitely interesting. I hadn't heard that part about it being at the start of the Indomitus Crusade, because if it was, then basically nothing happened.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. This is why a lot of people are theorizing that Part 3 is going to be the actual devastation of Baal, like, or much like kind of the aftermath, kind of, where Guilliman turns up, gives a bunch of the Primaris to the Blood Angels and their successors who turned up and fought at the devastation of Baal, and maybe this is where Mephiston crosses the Rubicon after the Primaris turn up.
The only catch
that's
there,
what I'm going with.
The only catch there is that we know it's canonized. Caligar was the first one across the Rubicon, and that didn't happen until the Vigilus campaigns, which I know happened at least after the events of the Plague Wars, because Calgar was there, and he was not Primaris in Plague War. So, yeah, we'll see.
This is the thing. I think the Vigilus stuff, well, like you said, the Vigilus stuff happens after. I'm so confused. I'm just confused talking about it. This is what I mean. I really wish they'd clear it up. And just give us the basis for it, because I'm just constantly here scratching my head like, wait, what? Is this guy this or what? I don't understand, GW.
Yeah, that's fair. Clarity would be appreciated. But staying with Blood and Glory, just because, well, hello, I am a Sigmar person. Can we just quickly talk about when they do Chaos models right, and talk about the new Chaos Warrior kit and the new Chaos Knight kit? Because, oh my flip, whoa. Yes, everything.
They are, like, I'm not really a big AOS player. I'm more into, like, when I come to collect armies or do armies, I always do my stuff based off lore, and the AOS lore hasn't really caught me yet. I'll completely hold my hands up, but I've always said the models they put out are probably the best models a company can put out when it comes to, like, fantasy models. They are top tier models. Like, I was looking at, like, just the mounted warriors. I say, oh my holy emperor, those are gorgeous. Do you know it's something that would really bring me back into AOS is Bretonnians. I love
go play
Bretonnians.
Court.
But aren't they like vampires and stuff? Or something
they are.
Like
they think of themselves as feudal noble knights who ride around their kingdoms and fight for the peasantry and all that stuff. They're just cannibalistic, degenerate undead monstrosities.
This is what I mean. This is not my Lady of the Lake. It's like, what? No, thank you.
If you want Britannia, they've been Tomb Kings. They're gone. Sorry. So if you wanted your Tomb Kings, they've also been Tomb Kings. I can't say Squatted anymore because the Squats are back. And they're now been replaced by the Ossiarch Bone Reapers, who are very interesting and very much play in that old fantasy style of interlocking formations, or can play that way with wedge formations and shield walls. I don't think they're quite harkening back to Britannia, not even close, because they haven't got anything that flies. But they're a really interesting army. The Ogor Mortries that have just come out are a source of endless hilarity because they're destruction, and destruction is always hilarious.
Yeah, I always enjoyed the ogres in fantasy and stuff, and their lore and stuff like that. And when they put that box set out of, like, the against the, what are they called, the Bone Rat guys, Ossiarch Bone guys, the
Bone Reapers.
It was very nice, very nice. I've always been a big fan.
Yeah, that's gone, by the way.
Is it
that went on day one.
Okay, yeah.
Every AOS box set is gone on day one, and some of the models in there have never been seen again. Like the Goblin Boss from Loon Curse, the Arc Revenant from Loon Curse, the blimmin' Arc Regent from Carrion Empire, still not available. The Warlock Bombardier, still not available.
It happens to the 40k ones as well. I don't understand why they do this. It's like, remember, like, when Dark Imperium verse came out, this was the first box set in 8th edition. The Gravis Captain in there, the Ancient Banner Bearer, they still haven't sold them separately. Technically, you can get them through, like, that magazine subscription, but I would have thought, being a big one, like a big character or a big unit, they wowould have at least done these separate by now. It's like going on nearly 3 years. It's like, what?
Yeah,
Come on,
they
GW.
fixed it. They fixed it with Shadowspear because they put them into start collectings.
Yes, yeah.
Which is something they did with the AOS starter set as well. They just took the Lord Relictor out, and I was sad. But staying on start collectings, Slaves to Darkness are getting one, and they've got that Chaos Lord on Giant Lizard, and it is a beauty of a model.
Yeah, it's probably one of the best start collecting sets I've actually seen, and that's including 40k ones. It's like I think you get everything that they previewed in the article in that start
10
collecting
Warriors,
set.
5 Knights, and that Lord.
Yeah, that's a really good box. I wonder what how destructive they're going to be and stuff like that. They're going to be like a
we'll see. Things that look good in miniature don't always work so well on paper. At the moment, Slaanesh is in line for a whack with the Nerf bat.
Oh yeah, I actually watch some chaps called the Honest Wargamers who are like a really good like tactical guys and stuff like that, and they're always joking about Slaanesh and how every event they attend, it's just Slaanesh wins. It's like, oh boy, they sound like the Iron Hands.
It's not quite Slaanesh. They haven't quite John Cena'd them, but they have been very, very strong Slaanesh. But they're in line for a nerf. There's a nerf coming, and there's a balance patch coming, I think, at the end of the year. So we'll move past that. Since I've talked about it a couple of times, I'm going to try and find the Christmas box sets that you're getting. There are, I think, 12. Hang on, there might be 12. I can't even remember off the top of my head. And there's a good number of them and a good, interesting diversity as well. There's 6 of each. Yeah. So you've got a Blood Angels set, which is what I kept referring to, which is Intercessors, a Firstborn Captain in Terminator armor, the one from Shield of Baal.
Yep.
A Death Company Chaplain, or just a Chaplain, 5 Sanguinary Guard, and a Baal Predator, which is really good and shows that Firstborn are still a thing, you guys.
Yeah, I think they've done this because the way I think it's going to happen with the third book, it's going to be around the devastation of Baal, so it would make sense for them to have a lot of Firstborn Marines and a little bit of Primaris, since Gilliman sends them loads to start integrating into the ranks and stuff like that. So I wonder why. I'm sorry, not wonder why. I wonder that's why they've done it. You know, is that part of the box set and stuff? Hopefully.
Definitely possible. We shall see, but that will probably sync up very nicely with Mephiston and whoever else comes along.
Yeah.
The Space Wolves got shafted because you get 10 Intercessors, an Iron Priest, 5 Wolfen, and a Stormfang.
I know a lot of people weren't. I know a lot of people weren't happy about the Wolfen attached to that. But really, Space Wolves did get their own start collecting box set. I think it was last year at Christmas as well, and they did get their own box set when they come to paired with Eldar with the Vigilus and stuff. So Space Wolves have got kind of a lot of love so far. We could argue.
Yeah, not too bad. Chaos Space Marines get 10 Marines, 5 Terminators, 5 Havocs, a Terminator Lord, and a Rhino, which is very, very nice, solid baseline to build an army.
Yeah, I know my friends have been going on about the Havocs. They love Havocs when it comes to Chaos Space Marines, so that'd be good for them.
That's fair. Drukhari got a really weird box. You get an Archon, 2 squads of Carbolites, and then a Razor Wing, a Talos, 3 Reavers, and a Venom. And hang on, you haven't got a unit small enough to go in the Venom. The Reavers belong to the Witch Cults, and the Talos belongs to the Homunculus Covens. So,
yeah,
I am confused.
With Dark Eldar and stuff like that, and like the Tau stuff, I just looked at them and said, okay, those are fancy models. I didn't really go into the tactics wise because I all my friends, we don't really play Xenos races, we're all Imperium, so it's just like, oh, okay, I'll have my Space Marines versus your Space Marines. We'll do a little demo match and let's play tag and stuff. Let's not really kill each other. So yeah. So I don't really know like the Eldar units or what they're really capable.
It's basically the reason I bring it up is because the Drukhari were split in their codex up into 3 sub factions of Cabal, Cult, Coven, and this box just mashes a bit of all of it together, which doesn't really suit the Drukhari playstyle because they like lots of little patrol detachments. But I'll spare you the talk. We'll do Tau, since you mentioned them.
Yep.
Commander, Fire Warrior team, Stealth team, Crisis team, Devilfish. Very, very solid. If I was still playing lots of Tau, which I'm kind of not, I've kind of got enough for the most part, apart from well, a spare commander, some spare fire warriors, and a spare crisis team and a spare fish would be nice, but they're not top of my to-do list. They are nice models, and they'll go nicely as a supplement to an army. And then you have Tyranids, who get a Hive Tyrant, 2 Carnifexes, a block of Gargoyles, a block of Termagants, and a block of Hormagaunt, and a block of Gene Stealers, and probably some Ripper Swarms. And it syncs really nicely with the Tyranids start collecting. This box is bananas value.
Yeah, I think the Xenos, out of all the Xenos boxes, the Tyranid is definitely the best ones. From the reaction online I saw of people, everyone was going mad for the Tyranid one. Like, oh my god, look, all the Tyranids are getting there. I'm getting this. So I think, even more so than like the Marine boxes, because the Marine boxes have always been like the popular boxes, but this year, when they announced them, there was more love going to the Tyranid box. So I think that might be like the hot one to have this year, which will probably fly off the shelves more than anything else.
Yeah, possibly. Shadow Spear has also been put into start collectings, so you don't get everything. So, for example, do you get the? I think you get the.
I think the captain is not in there, right? The captain or the librarian.
And the librarian,
if not mistaken. Yeah.
Yeah, they're missing, but everything else is in across the 2 boxes. And then Sigmar gets a ridiculous Stormcast Sacrosanct box because Evocators are bananas. So. Lovely. Nice. Nighthaunt get a giant pile of dudes led by Kurdos Valentian, which is great value. Supplements Soul Wars quite nicely. Won't buy it because I don't play Nighthaunt, but it's a nice box nonetheless. Skaven get a real mishmash with a Screaming Bell, a Warp Lightning Cannon, a Vermin Lord, another Grey Seer, and then some Plague Monks and Clan Rats. Like, it feels like it's missing something or something needs to be swapped out there, but it's a cool box. And the Gloomspite Gits get disappointment.
Are the
Mangler
the Gloomspite Gits the mushroom goblins? I think
they're the old night goblins.
I think that's one of the most attractive races to me. If I was to pick up AOS, is them, just for the way they look, like the rule of cool. I really like their stuff, like all the trolls they get and stuff like that. They're really nice. The models.
Yeah, so it's Moon Clan, so like night goblins plus squigs plus trolls plus spiders. But this box comes with a foot-mounted loon boss, 10 squig hoppers, a box of Mangler squigs, some fanatics, and some Rockgut Troggoths. Now, the Loon Boss works when it hides behind massive units, and the fanatics need to hide in massive units.
Okay. Yeah, so kind of.
No.
Yeah.
No. And you actually need to buy 40 stabbers on top of this just to make the army work.
Well, maybe that's why they're doing it, so you have to go out there and buy 40 stabbers. GW business. Dear. Now you belong to us.
Quite. In that same article, they also revealed start collecting like painting handles or something with a bunch of different painting handles and stuff and painting sticks, which is great to see. A bit of a meme, but great to see.
Yeah, I've got to say, you could probably, for people who are just getting into the hobby and stuff, yeah, this could be pretty cool. But for me, I've moved on to airbrushing now. I've kind of advanced when it comes to my next level of painting. But back in the day, I just used to go out, get some blue tack, stick them onto a big stick, and just do it that way. That was like, DIY, hobby and do it yourself. That was it. But
yeah, I've never actually got onto airbrushing because I've lived in rented accommodation on like upper floors, so going outside is a terrible idea. Yeah. But it is great to see. They also have shown us a new storm vaults, which are the big temples from Forbidden Power. One with a penumbral engine, one with a throne. Looks lovely, alongside some Aussie art releases. Right, is there anything else of note? Ah, yes. Necromunda Dark Uprising. Oh. This has caused some drama.
Yeah. First off, I absolutely love what they're doing with the scenery. I love building and like making terrain and stuff like that. It's like one of my passions in the hobby. Like I'm more of a kit basher and making awesome looking poses and stuff and levels or maps, whatever you do. And I was really looking forward to
this.
And
it's the return of
it's all plastic.
It's the return of Zone Mortalis.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's Zone Mortalis. For those of you who haven't played Zone Mortalis, it is a complete different experience. Like you don't have like a tank shooting you at 72 inches away, hitting you like strength 10 or something like that. It's very close. It's very personal. It's a complete different tactical aspect to the game, and I love it. I absolutely love it. I mainly used to play it with the Horus Heresy and stuff like that, with like Templar Brethren and stuff. It was so fun. It was really, really great.
But as much as seeing the whatever you call them, I can't remember off the top of my head what they're called now. The enforcers go up against the corpse grinder cult, who are terrifying, and also explains that everyone on Necromunda is basically a cannibal.
Yeah.
Nice. That's not creepy at all. Basically, what's caused the stir is the price.
Yes, £175, if I'm not mistaken. Now, me, I was actually going to get this box set. I was going to buy it. I was all in, and I was thinking to myself, I'd be moderate, I'd be generous, and I'm going to say around about £140. I was thinking. But as soon as I saw the £175, I was like, oh boy, nope, that is me. That is, for what I want out of this box, which is just the scenery. I don't really care for, like, you know, the factions in it. I just want the steps and the tiles and stuff and everything like that. I was like, no, it's just too expensive. And that's just not me as well. I've seen people's reactions online who are fully Necromunda players say, nope, I'm not buying that. £175, I can't do that. It's just too expensive for me to purchase, which is it's a shame, really, because these are the people that are the main buyers and they're just being priced out.
And the biggest concern there that I've seen knocked around is if there are hardcore players who say, you know what, I don't care how much it costs, I've got the floating income, I can buy this, it's fine. That sends a message of, well, the community is willing to pay whatever it's told to pay, and so the prices have the potential to keep sneaking up and up and up. We saw Blood of the Phoenix. That was way more expensive than the last box set, which was like whatever it was, Dark Imperium or Wait the Dead or whichever the last blooming Space Marines versus somebody was before Blood of the Phoenix. That went up in price significantly, and it raised eyebrows. But people sort of said, you know what, it's got 2 named characters, it's got a tank, it's got X, Y, and Z. You know what, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe that's okay. But they're going to have to be really, really careful with their pricing, because if the next box, let's say Faith and Fury, comes out, and it's got no named characters, no sisters, and no vehicles, and it's £120, that's going to really start cheesing people off.
Yeah.
And the other thing it does, not just to cheese off the old guard, like you and me, yes, we're old now, is it's going to price out the new blood, because parents are going to come into G-Dubs and say, oh, what's the best way to get started? They've seen something online or they've read about something and they want to get involved. What's the best way? Here's £150 of box set. Here's £35 of book. Here's £40 of codex. Then you need some dice, and you don't need Templars anymore, so you don't need those. You probably need your supplement, that's another £20, please. That'd be £300 to start a 1,000 point army, please. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
bye.
It's definitely going in a direction which is like I'm probably one of the most whitest knights, as they say, when it comes to GW. I love GW and stuff like that. You know, I always get excited what they release. But with this release, I had to say, wow, no, that is not right. Like, if you put it into context, it's £175 for us. I was translating that, I didn't do it, some of my friends did, into like the US dollars. I think it was like $290 in the US, and like Australians is like, you know, basically you have to sell a kidney or something. It starts getting ridiculous all over the world. And from the feedback that I've been getting is that, there is going to be some people that are going to be buying it, but the majority have taken a stand and saying, no, we're not buying it. So I'm hoping that the message that GW will receive from all of this is that, okay, we may have priced this too high. Let's go back to the thinking table about this, because at the end of the day, these box sets are supposed to be getting people into it and stuff. If I was like not a 40k fan, let's say, and my kid said, "Oh, can we go in here?" and they said, "Here's a £175 box," I'd say, "No, thank you.
Nope.
Bye bye."
Yeah, and especially for a specialist game. It's not even, this isn't a main game box game. It's a specialist game. You can't use the miniatures outside of Necromunda, and there won't be enough Zone Mortalis terrain in there to play anything other than Kill Team, if that.
Yeah, agreed.
So, as much as returning Zone Mortalis is great, because I only played it like once when I played 30k, and it was a really, as you said, a really, really unique experience that is well worth experiencing. But what they could have done is release Zone Mortalis at Christmas and put the rules for it in chapter approved, and then nobody would have cared in terms of the price.
I think they need to start experimenting with like maybe releasing like free digital rules and stuff like that to really start, giving something back to the community. I've always made the argument that if you buy a paperback edition of a codex, especially let's take for example a limited edition codex, because those are the bit more pricey ones. I think you should get like something at the back where you can scan, or something like a code that comes with it, where it gives you like a free download of the digital version, because we all know within sometimes a couple of weeks, actually sometimes going off the last Space Wolf Codex, it was released outdated because they like messed the page up or something like that. So I've always made the argument that maybe they should just give us a free copy of the digital book, so when the updates do come out, we haven't got an outdated codex. We've always got an in-dated codex and stuff like that, because the era of the digital age is easily upon us. I think everyone's got a phone or a tablet they can easily put a book on or something like that. So I think that's what they should really be doing.
But what's really, really interesting is this is something that Age of Sigmar has been doing for years.
Yep.
If you have the Age of Sigmar app, you can't use the Battle Tome specific abilities, like Allegiance abilities, but you can find those on a forum in 2 minutes flat. Realistically, if you want to play the game, the rulebook is 6 pages and it's free. You want to use any unit in the game, free. You want to build any army list and tinker with it, Azir is $1.99 a month or something. So you pay £2 a month for unlimited army lists and tinkering, and I think you unlock access to everything by paying that $1.99 a month. So you can't read the rules, or you might. I'm not someone who uses Azir, but you have full access.
Yeah.
And I don't know if 40k's like list building app equivalent, like the equivalent to Combat Roster and Azir, whether it exists and whether it has that functionality.
No, in 40k they have kind of got one, but it's a power level one, which no one ever uses. But the main app that everyone uses is not even an official one. It's called Battlescribe. It's on the App Store.
Oh I use that.
Yeah, that's what.
You can't use it for Sigmar.
For 40k, I say it's got everything in there. It hasn't got like you said, some of the stuff for the rules when it comes to missions and stuff like that. But generally, it's got all the stats in there, the relics, everything attached, and the guys actually who do that program deserve a massive shout out, because they put so much effort in and so much time. For what they do, they're absolutely amazing. The bunch, the whole team who's attached to it,
absolutely
they're great.
I used Battlescribe for ages. I've sort of stopped using it because either I'm playing Sigmar and I know my rules inside out and backwards, or I'm playing 40k and I've used the list so many times that I just need to flick through my codex to remind me. But the only thing that Battlescribe didn't do, and this might actually have been fixed, but when I was really tinkering in Sigmar, was a lot of the Sigmar stuff was missing around the time of AOS 2. They might have patched that in since then, in which case fair enough, but I sort of leaned away from it and just went to building my own lists like on a notepad on my computer, just because the other thing with Battlescribe is when you're playing Tau, this is just a Tau thing, because you've got 17 gajillion options, and I mean that literally, 17 gajillion options for your battle suits in particular. As someone who plays Fast Out Enclaves, you're there for a week just tinkering with the blooming weapon options. You're there for a bloody week. That's not a critique of the app, that's a critique of Tau.
Well, the thing is, whenever something is kind of new released, it does take them like maybe a week or two to get it all sorted, because again, they are just individuals, and this is not like a full-time job. They're kind of, people doing it. Like, I was speaking to some of the chaps, because they've got their own Discord server and stuff, and I was asking them about the Imperial Fist stuff when it's coming, and the guy was like, I've nearly done it all, I'm just, putting a few more things into place and coding it all and stuff like that, so it should be out by the end of this week, so hopefully I can use it this weekend when I go to Warhammer World and play some games. But cool.
Excellent. There's also a bunch of little other things, so there's a humble bundle of Horus Heresy audio books.
Definitely,
get that,
everyone.
If you want to experience the heresy in 3 simple steps. You've got 3 tiers, and that includes some Primarch novels, and some of the big books like Horus Rising, False Gods, Galaxy in Flames, Flight of the Eisenstein, and Fulgrim are all in the first 2 tiers. You get a couple of Garrow novels, you get the Buried Dagger, so you're bang up to date, Heralds of the Siege, which is a bunch of shorts, Slaves to Darkness, You get Descent of Angels, which I'm sure Remleiz is somewhere screaming when he reads that.
I actually like that book. I'm not gonna lie. I enjoyed it.
Just Rem memes on that one. But yeah, there's plenty in there if you are big into your audiobooks and big into your heresy. Other things going on. Inquisition are in White Dwarf November. That's out next week, or this week by the time you're watching this video. And the Black Library Coming Soon page. I think we might have discussed some of this, but as someone who probably does their own lore, I'm interested to get some thoughts as well, because, there's a Commander Farsight book there, and either I didn't talk about this on the last show, or I did and I want to talk about it some more. We get the sequel to Crisis of Faith.
I'll hold my hands up. I don't really read Xenos books. I get to read it. I get to know the lore through people. But yeah, I haven't read it. I think the biggest thing for me for the Black Library Weekender, I've been completely addicted to the Siege of Terror series books at the moment, and apparently the First Wall is going to be pre-purchased there at that event. So hopefully they'll give us a little bit more information about that book and stuff, and maybe like next week or something it will go on pre-orders on the GW website and stuff like that.
Yeah, it'll be interesting because the Black Library Weekender is happening the weekend after we record this. We're recording this on the Friday. It's happening over the Saturday and Sunday, and all the reveals are coming Sunday afternoon. I feel like we will get First Wall, but I don't think we're going to get it straight away, because with the release schedule where it is, and again, you might already know this.
I don't know anything about the Black Library books, to be fair. Nothing.
Fair. Good. I feel like because they want to really reward people for going to the weekend, I feel like First Wall's going to get a good month.
Oh, yeah.
Where it was event exclusive, and then they'll drop the limited edition, and then finally they'll drop the
paperback
sort of full version. Yeah, because I think, if I'm not mistaken, the Solar War paperback hasn't even gone on pre-order yet. Nope, it's on the paperback of Solar War is on pre-order next Saturday.
Okay, wow. I thought it's already up. I know I got the audio. Yeah, because what they do, they do like the leather books, which I actually buy. I've got the first two so far. It's my goal to have all the nice red bound leather books on my shelf and stuff like that, because I'm a massive fan of the horror. So they got Primax in it. Why wouldn't I be? And I always buy the audio versions as well. I'm a massive supporter of the audio stuff GW does. So no matter what they do, even though I've got the book, I'll also buy the audio version and just listen to that again, because I just want to support the voice actors, the editing team, and also another way to support the authors as well, which I like when it comes to their books. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to this.
Yeah, and the hardback's been out for a while. Yeah, but it's the paperback version, and no idea on Lost to the Damned paperback, but I feel like we won't. Yeah, but I don't think we'll see First Wall. I think they'd have probably previewed it if they were going to. They actually,
I say they actually did. They updated their website, the Siege of Terror website with it on, and also if you follow Gav on Twitter, he started posting all the pictures of it because he had it in his lap. So what they normally do, that they send it to the authors first, and they get like a nice little preview copy right before it goes on launch. So that's why I'm thinking maybe at this event it's going to be an event exclusive book where, I don't know, they'll probably have like 100 for sale or something like that. The first 100 people go in and get like the leather bound book, and then a month or so, it would probably make sense around Christmas time, wouldn't it? Really, they drop it for like the pre-order for like the everyone to get like a chance at the limited edition book, and then onwards from there. Then,
yeah, I think so. And we may also get the reveal of Siege Book 4. I think you made a fair point. Siege Book 4 could be revealed here. The artwork they use is just an old one of a witch hunter. That's from another book that they've already previewed. But I'm genuinely curious about what we are going to see, because we've had the Call novel, and we've talked about the Call novel on this show. Remleiz is in the middle of reading the Valdor novel, and we'll be talking about that probably on the next show. Good.
I won't spoil it. I won't spoil it.
Save Rem's.
Valdor's an absolute boss. That's all you gotta know.
But
right, yep, yeah.
Well, that's fair. we've had Knights of Macra. We know about the Dante book that's coming. That was revealed. Where was?
Can I just give a shout out to Guy Haler for being the most robotic, fastest writer that I've ever come across? It's like the guy does not stop. It's like every other Black Library book is by Guy Haler. It's like Guy Haler, Guy Haler, Guy Haler, Guy Haler.
Guy Haler's been an interesting one on
when it comes to writing.
Yeah, it's been interesting with regards to Mr. Haley, because I like a lot of his stuff from the Blood Angels, but the Conrad Kurz novel, and apparently there was a bit of a mixed response to Plague War and Dark Imperium. Like, his stuff's good, but I think there's a bit of variance there. So some people are not asking, but that's the truth for every author. No author is a perfect hit. I talked about David Geimer, whose Age of Sigmar stuff I absolutely adore, for the Ideneth and the Hamilcar Bear Eater. But at the same time, some people are not so keen on his Warhammer 40k stuff. And I've talked to David on this show, and very great bloke to talk to, but every author gets mixed responses. So
it's just life, isn't it? Some people like some stuff. It's just as long as you enjoy it. Like I've enjoyed all Guy Haley stuff. Like I enjoyed Dark Imperium. I enjoyed the Plague War stuff. I definitely enjoyed the little superpower person in there and stuff. I enjoyed it all. I think for this book, The Legion of the Damned, it was another great book. I actually put a quote on my Twitter today from it, which for me sums up the Night Lords in one. And I think he did a fantastic job. So I am hoping to see what they bring next, and who the next author is. I'm hoping, kind of secretly, that it's Chris Wright, because Chris Wright he's everything he touches is fabulous. Like everything he simply touches. Like I wasn't really a big fan of like the White Scars or anything, but once I read their story in the Horus Heresy, what the arc he made for him, they were like, okay, it goes like Imperial Fist, and of course all the Imperial Fist successors, then it goes White Scars for me, because he made them such a renowned chapter, like of all their backstory and everything that goes with him and stuff, and the Khan himself, the character he crafted with him, it's fantastic. I love what he's done.
Yeah, I think whenever the scars come along, whether that's in book 4 or it's book 5 or maybe even book 6, whenever the scars get their day in the sun, that will be Wright's book. But obviously they might not be next. It depends on which part of the siege they want to tell next. Do they want to talk about the raids on the traitor lines? Do they want to talk about the sacking of the Administratum by the Emperor's children? Do they want to do Sanguinius versus Cabanda at the gates? They've got so many options that I wouldn't want to predict where they're going next without at least reading First Wall.
I think that if anyone is going to write the Cabanda versus Sanguinius, it's going to be Aaron Dembski-Bowden. He has always been a massive Blood Angel fan, and there was a little bit of a hint. If you actually go to the Siege of Terror website and stuff, and you look at all the portraits, his has like a blood vial on the desk and a feather next to it. And I don't know why, but I was like, that's very Blood Angels. Is he giving like a hint?
There's one thing though. There's another fight involving Sanguinius.
Yes, there is.
That one with Horus.
Yeah.
So he might write the second to last or last in order to do the Sang Horus fight.
Well, I think since Dan Abnett started it, Dan Abnett will end it.
Yeah, I think that's a very fair. I think it'll be either ADB or Abnett that finishes it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. But one thing I'd quite be tempted for them to do is they'll deal with everything on the planet is books 1 through 6. Book 7 is the assault on the vengeful spirit. It's Sanguinius versus Horus. I've argued that they should actually just cut to black and not show the duel, and then pick up with the Emperor, because I think that would be a really a nice way of keeping the mythos of Sanguinius without showing him getting his butt handed to him by Horus, because he will. But if they're going to do it, have book 7 be all about Sanguinius versus Horus. Like, that's half the book, if you want. Have ADB write it. Have him just lavish all the Black Legion love that we know he can write from Black Legion onto Horus, have him give Sanguinius all that time to show off his power and be a Blood Angel, and then let Dan Abnett tie it all off with the Emperor and Horus and Loken, who really should be there to deliver that last line about Horus slaying the Emperor. He needs to say it, damn it. Well,
yeah,
I think
it's going to be interesting to see what they do with Loken, and it's going to be. It's going to be. I think there's some twist yet to be revealed, which is definitely going to happen. Like for me, I've always said I know like the main lore is Sanguinius fighting Carbunda at the Eternity Gate, but kind of on Sigmus Prime when he already kind of beat him. Well, he absolutely stomped him. I've always said I would love if they changed Carbunda to Angron, and Sanguinius broke Angron at the Eternity Gate and like banished him or something like that, and it's like the whole angel versus demon kind of imagery, and brother fighting brother cast down from the heavens and stuff. But I'm sure they'll keep it Carbunda. But I just want to see Demon Angron fight Sanguinius, because you haven't really saw Sanguinius truly
try.
Yeah, try. And everyone's like, Sanguinius, wow, best Primarch. So I really want to see his fury completely unleashed and to see what the potential he has as a fire. I really want to see that.
Yeah, because even Horus himself, when he was elected War Master, said this should have been given to Sanguinius.
Yeah.
What on earth is Sang gonna do to powered up Horus? As much as I'm okay with a cut to black and show the body at the end, when they write that fight scene, because I'm sure they'll write that fight scene.
Yeah. It should be fun. It should be very, very
fun. Yes, but we'll have to stall the speculation there because, otherwise we could be talking about literally one book for the next hour. And whilst I'm sure some people will love that, I think some people will get very, very bored. Quick fire things that are also happening. If you are in the US and North America, you can look forward to Blitz Bowl and Space Marine Adventures. We're getting some updates with some classic miniatures, some of them from Space Marine Heroes, and also you get some build and paint sets. If you want some Halflings and some Skaven and stuff for your Blitz Bowl, you can do that. So look for that if you are in the US. From Blood and Glory, Warcry got some new monsters. They look amazing. They should go in Beastmen, not Slaves to Darkness, but that's just me. The Rumour Engine looks crazy. It looks like a Meccano Dragon, and I am all sorts of on board with Meccano Dragons. Other than that, not a huge amount. There's a bit of Lord of the Rings. Oh, they dropped an Ultramarines Contemptor out of nowhere. That came a bit out of nowhere. And aside from the release of more tribes and Bone Reapers, who are both awesome, at least in lore, I don't know about in gameplay, at least in lore, are pretty awesome. I think that's everything that I can see in front of me. Right, so yeah, we've gone for an hour on news. You said you've been doing some reading. I know you've just said you've read the Valdor novel. I think, is there anything else that you've read of late? Just because I know Rem's going to want to go on ad nauseum about it, and giving 2 full episodes of going on ad nauseum about the Valdor novel might annoy some people. So, is there anything else you've had a chance to read of late?
I'm actually reading The Emperor's Legion again, which is really awesome. Have you read that? With
which one's that one again? Remind me, the name rings a bell.
It's set right before the Great Rift. It's Custodes,
Is it the
Sisters.
Talons of the Emperor one? Like the Talons of the Emperor book?
Yeah, it's that book.
Right, yeah, I know the one you mean now.
Sorry, I'm just having a little bit of a coughing fit, because as I was saying before, I've got Nurgle's rot, so you have to excuse me for a second.
It's fine, don't worry about it. So yeah, I'm assuming that's probably a rate book. Yeah, that's a rate book, isn't it? It's a sequel to Watchers of the Throne, if I recall.
Yes. No, it is. It is the book Watchers. It's called Watchers of the Throne, The Emperor's Legion, and it's It's very political. It's about the Custodes getting back into the war effort. Let's say it's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
It's really awesome. I've actually got an audiobook. Yeah, I really enjoy it.
Good.
But
Apart
from that, I've just finished Legion of the Damned audio. I really want to go into Aaron Dembski-Bowden's Night Lord books because I know they're back in audio now as well. Well,
yeah,
sorry, they've just been releasing audio, so that's got to be my next big thing.
Yeah, that's totally fair. As for me, I've actually picked up Honor Bound, the Severina Rain novel by Rachel Harrison. I haven't had a chance to read a lot of it yet because I've been busy with work, but I wanted to get it because obviously Rain to some people is sort of the successor to Gaunt and Kane as badass commissar who leads a bunch of badasses and does badass stuff, but is also a badass. So I was very interested to see how she's portrayed. And I've only read like 3 or 4 chapters, and she is a very classic. Actually, doesn't even have chapters. Anyway, I've only read a little bit because I was invigilating a test, so I read some pages while I was invigilating, and she's very much a straight, hard-nosed commissar. Because like the first thing you see of her is your lasgun's power cell is full. You haven't fired it. Why haven't you fired it?
Yeah, I saw it advertised, but I haven't really got into it. I've actually just started the Gaunt series and the Caphaeus Kane series as well. I actually finished the first Caphaeus Kane, and I thought that book was hilarious from start to finish. It's like
yeah, Caiaphas Kane is a joke.
Yeah, it's like everyone says, if I in 40k, I'd be a space marine and stuff, but really, I'd think we'd all be Caphaeus Kane, really deep down inside. That is basically just us, like just trying to stay out the trouble and trying to look brave as much as possible. That is just definitely everything in 40k for like most of us.
Yeah. So yeah, I'll talk a bit more about Rain probably next time I get a chance. But yeah, as I was saying, like the first thing she does, like she comes into shop. Your lasgun's power cell is full. Why haven't you fired it? And this guy's basically been retreating from the enemy and running away instead of fighting. So he's like, you retreated from the enemy, didn't you? You were retreating instead of firing. Yes, ma'am. Bang.
Oh boy. Yeah, don't say that to a commissar. Say, oh no, I just didn't have the right opportunity to fire.
Yeah, because I think she said that she'd fired something like 30 shots and nearly half of them had been executions.
Oh boy. So yeah, she's not
afraid to she's a hard ass.
Yeah, not afraid to execute.
She's a hard ass.
Sounds awesome. Is it on audio? I'm a really big audio fan, you see, because with my kids and stuff like that.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'll check it out after we.
It's been out for a while, so it's not brand new.
Okay.
It might have gone on audio, but I picked up the paperback in Waterstones the other week. I wanted something to read because one of my classes has a designated reading time once a week.
Okay.
So I brought a book in to read, so that teacher says as teacher does.
Yeah. I shall read
I shall read about the far future and crazy cults and commissars, and you carry on with your stuff. But yes, so I will report back on that in a future episode, hopefully, because hopefully I'll remember. And Rem doesn't overshadow me talking about Valdor constantly. Not that I'm against talking about Valdor constantly, because as you mentioned, Valdor is a badass.
Valdor is amazing. Like, I'm not going to spoil it and stuff, but the book, first thing, it's a Chris Ray and Custodes. When Chris Ray writes Custodes, they are the best description of Custodes. Like, their interactions, like how they move, how they fight. He's basically just conquered the Custode writing arc. And this one is very, very cool because it's actually not the Horus Heresy or the Great Crusade at all. It's Unification Wars. It's like the end of the Unification Wars. And if you're not familiar with the lore, there's certain things that happens at the end of the Unification Wars, which is very, very interesting. So, I really enjoyed this book.
Remleiz has been sort of feeding me the odd spoiler, and the whole sort of, not the antagonist, sort of seems to be played up as, I won't spoil it, but aside from, like, if it's not a major plot spoiler, do you have a particular favourite scene or favourite moment that stuck out to you?
I kind of liked when a character was describing Constantine, like he's basically going to be. He was saying to him like he's more or less he feels sorry for him because all he's got is really nothing at all, and it was kind of like a look in the custodian, like the only thing custodians have got is their duty, and that's it. That's all they have. They've got nothing else or anything. Like they don't really form brotherhoods like the Marines, let's say, where they're their unit. Yeah, custodian is his own person, and there was a certain scene that explored that a little bit, and I did feel a bit sorry for Valdor. There was also a scene in there again. I can't say that because it's a bit of a spoiler. And they'll, yeah.
If it's minor, you can say.
It was a little bit of a conversation about the Emperor and wanting to find Valdor, and he was very important. Which, like these books, they answer a question, then open like a million more questions as well. It's like, why is Valdor so important? Why did the Emperor do this just to get Valdor? What is his main arc? Is there something more for Valdor or anything like that? It's really interesting.
The interesting thing that you bring about the Custodes is what made the Custodes different to the Astartes. It wasn't just their modifications and the fact they were psychically, genetically engineered by the Emperor himself and diddly-diddly-dee. It was the fact that every single one of them was an army of one.
Yeah.
They'd work together in squads, but at the heart they weren't trained to fight as a cohesive whole. They were trained to fight as individuals. And when you're an army of one, I mean, you do have that distance between all of you. And whilst the Custodes were also given a bit more... That's what I'm looking for. I don't know about personality is the right word with the Custodes. They were given a bit more individuality,
yes.
I think.
They were a lot like... I think it was mentioned in Amram Boden's Emperor of Mankind, but where they were made to like talk to the Emperor, be around the Emperor, and like talk philosophy and all that kind of stuff. That's what they were made for, to be the Emperor's companions rather less the Emperor's warriors he sends out into the galaxy to conquer, because that's what the Space Marines are for. So it's a lot more personal with their relationship to the Emperor and their actual design as a whole, which I absolutely love. Yeah,
and that does feed back into their whole their duty is everything, and like their entire purpose in life is to be the Emperor's bodyguard and sounding board. Like when the Emperor, it sort of makes sense as to why the Custodes in many cases donned the black mourning robes after the Emperor was interred on the Golden Throne, because they had nothing. They'd lost everything.
And it's so cool. Like everyone always says, why didn't the Custodes do more? Why didn't they do more? It's because they didn't. They didn't see it as their problem. Their main duty is to protect the Emperor, and when the Emperor's in the state he is, that is what they need to do now, is to protect him in that state. They didn't want to get involved and stuff, but of course there's
and they then wrote it into Imperial law too. Just for fun.
And of course the Emperor's Legion, like I said, I'm listening to now. It's a great book again by Chris Wright, that explores into how their thought process has changed to benefit the Imperium more and go back out and tackle all the badness against the Imperium.
Yeah, because I did a lore video and I explored Trajan Valoris a little bit, because there was due to be a vote on whether the Custodes' role should be modified, whether the Lex Imperialis could be modified to allow the Custodes to leave Terra. And Valoris was going to vote no. He was the tie-break vote, and he was going to vote no. And then Cadia exploded.
Yep.
And before you know it, there's an Honest to Terra Primarch in front of you again. And he's had a chat with the Emperor, seemingly, and is going out on crusade. It's the Great Crusade Mark II Electric Boogaloo Gilliman edition, though not quite. And it's... Whilst I haven't explored it to the same extent that you probably have, and I don't know Valoris as well as I probably should, it's interesting to explore that U-turn.
Yeah, there's... Again, I don't really want to spoil it because the book itself is amazing. Like how his mind's changed, and it's actually down to more or less a human individual, really, who I say he's kind of like Littlefinger, but he's a good Littlefinger, if that makes sense. Like he's not in it for himself; he's in it for. Of course, he benefits from stuff, but At the best, he's put the Imperium before himself.
Yeah, is that Lev
Yes.
Tyron?
The Chancellor guy. Yeah. I love his character. I think it's so well written. Like the politics. That is one of the things I absolutely love. Like, of course, I love my battles and stuff, but I love seeing the inner workings of politics in 40k because it's so messy and everyone's basically just out to benefit themselves. And then you get this guy who's here who basically uses people's their benefit to put ahead themselves, not for his self benefit, but for the greater good of the Imperium. And I think it's really, really cool. I love him.
Yeah, have you read the Navigator?
No, I haven't read that yet.
Because I've heard that's. I think Rem talked about that, and that's quite politicky.
Oh, I'll have to look into that one then.
And if you're wanting a bit of Sigmar in your life, I can recommend the Neferata books. Okay. Because Neferata, who's an old vampire from fantasy, who's now a Mortarch in AOS, her court in New Lamia is very much webs of intrigue. And I've read some shorts. David Annandale writes them, where she is involved in all sorts of plotting and scheming and betrayals and bonds. And I feel like if you're into the politics of Warhammer, it's not the Imperium and it's not 40k, but if you're into politics and sort of the behind the scenes of the wars, and you also want to explore some Sigmar, I would look into Neferata.
Oh, cool. Yeah, okay. I'll make sure I check that out. Yeah, I see. And do it.
Cool.
Thanks for appreciate that.
Not a problem. I'm always happy to get people into Sigmar because Sigmar is fun. And I'll tell you a fun story. I've told this story before, I think. The story of where a Stormcast Eternal essentially hugged a demon of Nurgle to death.
What?
Basically, it follows the Lord Celestin of the Hallowed Knights, Guard of Steel Soul. He goes back to where he was born, because the Stormcaster humans who died at the point of death taken to Azir to become Stormcast. So he goes back to his farm in Gyron, where he died, where he was born, where he lived, where he died. And he came back, and some people sort of vaguely recognised him, and he'd been haunted by voices ringing in his ears, calling him by his old name, because they changed their name slightly when they ascend. And in the end, it turns out that Nurgle's got its claws deep into this region, and there's all sorts going on. And this sort of demon monster attempts to consume him. And by radiating that sort of zeal and compassion and everything else that goes with his character as a hallowed knight, only the faithful, and also that passion and that care for this land as a Gyronite and for the people around him. Kind of sort of anime, glowy, huggy, explodey, the demon to death. It's been a while since I read it, but that's the gist of it. And yeah, that one stuck with me.
Yeah, it sounds cool. Again, I've read a little bit about the Stormcast stuff, obviously when it was first announced and stuff, and to try and get my head around it, but I haven't really given it full mind. For me, if people know me, I just love 40k. I love everything about 40k. I love Space Marines. I love the Imperial Guards.
No, that's totally fair. And I'm not here to tell you should ditch 40k for Sigmar. I know, particularly if you read the initial lore, like when it came out, a lot of that was a pile of cack. Because it was underdeveloped, it was rushed out, and they didn't develop the lore for ages. With AOS 2, they've really got their heads screwed on again. Vitok wrote the Daughters of Cain stuff, and is brilliant. Guymer's writing a lot of the Ideneth stuff, and is brilliant. Annandale's got his death down to an art form. Josh Reynolds writes some beautiful stuff. He wrote Soul Wars, for example, if you want for a jumping in point.
Of Josh Reynolds when he did all the Fabius Bile stuff. Yeah,
he did Lucas the Trickster as well, which came out around the time he came on the show. So yeah, there's plenty there if you want to dive in, but I will stop that now. Let's move on and do a few questions.
Okay.
Thank you for anyone who put the questions in and didn't address them to Rem because he wasn't going to be here. Sadly, I forgot. I only announced Valrak's coming on Twitter rather than on the comments, so because I hadn't quite finalised the booking at the time, so I didn't mention it there.
I'll do my best to answer. Hopefully.
That's fair. Let's see what we can do, shall we? Since the Salamanders basically build their own equipment, how is it that they've lost the ability to produce key pieces of equipment such as the Pyroclast and Fire Drake armor. Like, the Fire Drakes do still exist, but they've lost their Cataphracti plate and all that stuff. The long and short of it is everyone in the Imperium has kind of forgotten everything.
Yeah.
There's been a giant regression in technology and understanding. So it may well be that the Salamanders knew how to forge Cataphracti armor. But if the Forge Master died before they could train an apprentice, the next attempt would be worse. And we know that Cataphracti armor now is exceptionally rare by the rarity of the Cataphracti Terminator box set, which you can use, but you can't use it properly. And only the Chaos Space Marines have it because they don't have an alternative.
Yeah, it only takes one really disaster, and a lot of knowledge is lost. Like you said, if the Forge Father dies, and maybe the Forge Father and his apprentice dies, and the new guy who is they get in, he's kind of trained, but he wasn't trained to their levels because he wasn't like the apprentice coming, and that's it. There's a whole era of technology lost.
Yeah, and I'm also aware that the Salamanders also build all of their own stuff, which is why they have their weapon artisans and their mastercrafted. They used to have mastercrafted back when that was a rule. But there's a difference between...
I think in the Salamander Codex, if some of the law that states, because they have a lot of valuable material on Nocturne themselves, they trade it with the Mechanicus, and the Mechanicus in turn basically says, "Hey, look at all this cool stuff we've got for you." So they get first dibs on a lot of the cool equipment, or maybe parts and stuff like that in turn for all the resources on Nocturne, which they can, I won't say sell, but trade, maybe, let's say.
And gives them some license to tinker with the STCs and forge a bit of their own equipment. Yeah, because I don't think, I'd need to go back and check of whether the Salamanders actually did forge their own power armor. I don't think they did. They only forged modifications to it. I need to check that.
Yeah, I can't recall ever read or audiobooking, in the Horus Heresy, let's say, that they forged it, but they were definitely artisans when it came to improving it and making it with a little bit of personality and stuff like that. Drake scales and all it, awesome. Make it a bit more harder.
Yeah. Very, very fair. Right, this is an interesting question, one that I quite like. Has 40k lost its sense of humour?
I would say no, because the orcs are still brutal, I say, but there's also that element of humour attached to them, especially in the model formats and stuff. Let's just say, for example, the new orc models. When it comes to the vehicles and stuff, for the little Gretchens strapped to the front and stuff like that, because that's the way they treat those poor little things. So I don't think the humour's gone. I think it's not as much as it was back in the good old days, let's say. But I still think the humour's there. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing is if you compare 40k to Sigmar, because as I mentioned earlier, destruction in Sigmar, and I know I keep banging on about Sigmar, sorry, but Sigmar's destruction factions are a hoot. The lore behind Firebellies, which are those fire-breathing ogre wizards, was Gorka Morka ate the sun, got indigestion, and barfed it back out again, and that is why Firebellies exist. And the idea of basically the reason that the Ogre Iron Blast exist is because Gorka Morka smashed a Titan's palace out of the sky, the cannons fell down and became the Iron Blasters, and so on and so forth. And all sorts of different things going on, really. And it's really quite in your face, not quite slapstick, but quite in your face humour. 40k's humour has sort of, to me, it's not gone, but it's changed. So it's now, you see it in the model designs like you talked about with the Orc vehicles. It's in the novels with things like Sassy Shadow Sun on the Emperor.
Right.
And cheeky one-liners and characters like Caiaphas Cain.
Yeah.
It's not so in your face because it's not designed like that. It's still a grim darkness universe.
Yeah.
But the humour can sort of sneak its way in that grim humour and one-liners and gallows humour.
Yeah. I say that. Yeah, I agree with that. It's a different format. Again, I can't really talk about AOS because I haven't read anything, but I'll take word for it.
Fair. This should be an interesting one. This one comes up from time to time. If you could create a new faction, who or what would it be?
Oh, a new faction, like a faction that's like not that's not on the tabletop at the moment, or like a brand new.
I mean,
into something different.
It is difficult because if it's a new faction, Dark Mech.
Yeah, I was actually going to say if it's a faction that is already around but it's not on the tabletop, I'd say Dark Mech. I would argue I would like to see more Imperial Guard regiments return. I know technically we have some of them in the old metal models, but I was a huge fan of Praetorians as I was growing up. Mordians, the Vostrians, the Valhallans and stuff like that, the Talon, and the kind of way that GW's gone with them is like they've just knocked them to the side, and it's Cadians this and Cadians that. You can kit bash, but you have to buy like 6 boxes of something else. So if it's a new faction which hasn't got its time or ever had its time, I'd say Dark Mech. If it's a faction to, let's say, bring back in the tabletop format, I would say another Guard regiment. I would love to see something like that.
Yeah, I think that's good. And if we were making something from scratch, this is the thing with 40k. 40k's universe is now sort of written itself into a position of these are the factions, this is how it goes.
Yeah.
Because the last new faction was either the Tau or the Tyranids.
I think
Custodians were always there. Yeah. The Sisters of Silence were always there. They just weren't in game, sort of like Dark Mech are.
I've actually forgot what they're called now, but they're like tree men. They're like swamp creatures. The name escapes me. They've always been around and stuff, but I think I'd like to see them. But as you say, for like another faction to pop out, it's gonna be like, oh, where did they come from? It'd have to be something like kind of Tyranid set up where they're not from this galaxy,
extragalactic,
and it's like something's, or maybe like a world where they've always been hiding and we've only just discovered it, but that kind of wouldn't make any sense because I'm sure like the Eldar or the Necrons would have known about them for the millions of years they've been around and stuff like that. So
it'll be interesting. I think this is where Sigmar gets the freedom to do awesome models because they don't have a playbook to play by, so they can do whatever the hell they like. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see, and I think my answer remains with Dark Mech personally, but Guard regiments would be cool as well. At least in supplement form.
Yeah, supplement. I still think that's one of the big things they'll end up doing at some point, but that's probably another conversation for another time.
Yeah, probably. Right. Ooh, Primarch question.
Oh boy, here we go.
Perfect. If Lionel Johnson were to awaken, would he tell Guilliman about the Fallen, and what would Guilliman's reaction be?
You see, right, I can't understand the Dark Angel and their secret, especially when you compare it to the White Scars. More or less, a huge majority of the White Scars turned, or was going to be on Horus's side, and
but they were dealt with.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah,
they turned back and were.
Yes, that's what I mean. But there's really like no dishonor in it because I'm sure the other Primarchs would learn about it and they'll think, okay, yep. Yeah, as long as you're loyal, yeah, it's okay. I just think with the whole Lion not being there, the Dark Angel's like, oh my god, our honour is on the line here. Let us not tell anyone, and it just ascended into madness. I would personally think he would tell him. But then again, the Lion is a special character when it comes to his personality. A lot of people dislike him, but I love him because how kind of antisocial he is when it comes to dealing with his brothers and talking to them and more or less talking down to them and stuff like that. I think it's a great character. But yeah, I'm sure. Like he never saw really eye to eye with Guilliman that much. They used to argue because I think they were both kind of the same kind of powerful character, always leading from the front and stuff. So that's why they always clash with their ideas. But I think they had respect.
We know they had a big. They blew up a lot at Imperium Secundus.
Yeah, I still think they have massive respect for each other. So I would think that the Lion would eventually tell him, or just tell him.
Yeah, I think it depends on who Lion talks to first. Because if Lion talks to Guilliman first, Guilliman will ask, "Oh, where have you been? There was a thing. Caliban's Marines turned, and I had to deal with a superpowered version of my second. And Gilliman will say, oh, so you got Horus.
Yeah.
To know. You got Emperor.
It'd be something like that.
And that leads into a discussion of, so what happened to them? I don't know. I was out cold and dragged away by the Watchers in the dark.
Yeah,
I don't know what happened to them since.
I think one of the biggest things about it all would be kind of explain what the Watchers in the dark is more than anything else. It's like, look, what are these little guys? You're just turning up and there's like those little robe guys walking around. What are these? Well, it's a long story. Can you sit down while I, tell you about it?
I think that's very, very fair. I'd love to know more about the Watchers, but here we are. I think the second part of what we're saying is about who Lion talks to first is if he talks to Gilliman first, then the truth comes out. If he talks to Azrael first, and Azrael finds him first, then Lion's going to ask, okay, what happened while I was out? Fill me in. And Azrael, because he knows about Luther, will say, Luther was found alive and insane, and we took him prisoner, but he just escaped.
Yeah.
And also, shenanigans happened, and a lot of the people who were rebels on Caliban got away. We haven't told anyone about this, and because it would make us look bad and look really, really crazy, we would appreciate it if you just feigned ignorance and let us get on with catching Luther together, because we're hearing rumours of a fallen legion.
Move along.
So if he
see here. Move along. Yeah, it's just
Yeah, so if he talks to Azrael first, he might just decide to indulge the secrecy because it prevents his legion's name being sullied in post. If the Fallen are a big deal to the rest of the Imperium, then what the hell? But if they're not a big deal, then why didn't you tell us? Why did you leave so many worlds to die? Because you had this vendetta, and that makes the Dark Angels look bad. But if he talks to Gilliman first, he can genuinely say, I don't know, I was out cold, the Watchers might not have told him, and then it's up to Azrael to decide whether to reveal it until Lion runs across the Fallen and Luther, and then a very, very awkward conversation.
I'm wondering if that is going to be further down the road, like a whole psychic awakening kind of thing, with like, I don't. Let's just say they won't be the line back, but I wonder if the Dark Angels are going to pop up in a bit more power. Let's say, because it'd be interesting to see what they actually do with them.
Yeah, I'd be down for a Dark Angels v Fallen mini box set sometime. Maybe with Demon Prince Marbus on one side and an updated Samael on the other.
That could be pretty cool. Yep.
Or an updated Primaris Azrael. Yep. They could do that.
Primaris Azrael, and they can. That'd be really, really cool. Because I definitely know the Fallen need. Let's say they need a little bit of love to their models. At the moment, it's just kind of
Chaos Space Marines.
Yeah, Chaos Space Marines with a little bit of robe here and there, and a bit of a Dark Angel thing. That's basically it.
Yeah, and maybe you play a little series of campaigns, and in some missions you get Cypher on the loyalist side, and some missions you get him on the traitor side, and then at the end Cypher goes down, and everyone's trying to scramble to get him away on their side so they can interrogate what the cock is going on and all that stuff.
Good old Cypher.
Quite. Have you played Kill Team?
I have, yes.
Okay. Just because there's a question here about Kill Team. So this question asks, should I just buy the Kill Team core rulebook, or should I look into buying a bundle to get the expansions as well? Are the expansions worth getting to someone getting into Kill Team?
It all depends. Like, the Elite one brings in Custodes, so if you like playing Custodes, then it's probably worth it if you buy the Elite book, because you get to make a Custode Kill Team, which is, I think it's like 2 guys, to be completely fair, because Custodes being Custodes. So I think it all really depends what kind of models have you got. If you've got like the more bigger models you want to play with, then it is worth getting those kind of books. But if it's just going to be just, I don't know, like a couple of squads of guards and stuff like that, and a Space Marine here and there, I used to do mine with Death Watch, and then you're okay just getting the normal core rulebook, and that's it, really. I would wait out until Christmas though, because apparently the whole chapter approved is supposed to be coming in December like they normally do. So maybe they may put out like a new rulebook and stuff. So hopefully. So don't invest into it yet. That's just
Yeah, that's possible. That is definitely possible. A Black Templars question based on the Imperial Fist Codex. Oh. How convenient!
How convenient indeed.
Okay. So, according to various people, And the new Codex supplement for Imperial Fist, one of these various people is actually you. I watched your video about this.
Yep.
Castellan Draco of the Black Templars has been declared traitor based on a comment by Tulgaradon. If this is correct, is it correct?
Yes. Well, a lot of people said it's Inquisitor Draco, but the way that it's worded is that it's all about Space Marines. So I can't ever recall Tulgaradon being friends with Inquisitor Draco. So I'm just going to say it's the Castellan Black Templar one. Everyone else is saying it's the Black Templar one. So it's kind of a big thing.
The question goes, this is therefore true. So what caused it? Why was he declared a traitor?
This is...
This I know baffled you at the time, I remember.
This is like the $1 million question. It's like, we all know Black Templars are kind of zealous in their ways.
Evil.
They get things done in the Imperium's name, but what could he have done to earn to be, like, go away from us? Wow, that is too bad. And that's coming from the Imperium, who basically exterminate, like, entire worlds just on... Okay, do it. We can't solve this problem. What could he have done? The only thing that pops into my head is something Chaos said, which would kind of be a massive kick in the teeth to Templar fans, because the big thing about Templars is that they're so full of faith in the Emperor that they're not like Grey Knights, which are like a complete different thing, but their faith in the Emperor is like, we shall never be turned from his glorious gaze. So it's a head scratcher.
You see, I think it depends on the context of the statement, because does it say that Draco turned his back on the Imperium and has gone to the traitor side? Or does it say that he's been declared a traitor? Because there's a huge difference. If he's declared a traitor, it could be that a certain, shall we say, Orthodox Inquisitor was knocking around and in the same conflict zone that the Templars were in. The Templars either deployed technology or stratagems or did something to annoy that Inquisitor, and the Castellan, being a Black Templar, got all up in his face about it and said, no, shove off, this is what we do, this is what we always do, and if you don't like it, you can go and suck it. To which the Inquisitor said, no, I'm an Inquisitor, we are the Inquisition, what we say goes, and you have been declared excommunicate traitoris, as has the rest of your little mini crusade. Have a nice day.
Yeah, well, the actual quote, and again, it's only a couple of lines. It goes on about like Tycho being lost to the Black Rage and stuff. Some of the people died in firestorms. Then it says Draco was declared excommunicate traitoris for deeds too terrible to recount. That's it. So deeds too terrible to recount. That is basically that.
Okay.
That is all we get. Again, million questions to that. Like, damn it, GW, what are you doing?
I think probably, now that I've seen the quote again, because I couldn't quite recall the quote, is that I'm guessing he hasn't been turned, but he's been led on into doing something absolutely atrocious. So, for example, it could be that a Tzeentchian whisper of Tzeentchian demons and cults have sort of crimson slaughtered him. And done to him what they did to the Crimson Slaughter, where they sort of presented this masquerade of hiding in plain sight and false roots and false hopes, and leading him to decide, you know what, I'm killing everybody. And he goes and he murders literally everybody. And that then sends him down the deep end and off the deep end, because he's been driven so mad by going on this genocide after genocide after genocide to deal with a cult that won't stay down. So to the point that even some of his men are thinking, oh, I'm not sure about this. Those actually seemed like good upstanding citizens. We found some evidence of that. This lot were fine. That cathedral was fine. Why did we kill them? And the Black Templars, that seed of doubt gets planted in their head as their Castellan goes on killing spree after killing spree after killing spree and genocide after genocide, to the point that the Inquisition just has to look at it and say, or the Templars themselves, the Marshal of the Crusade has to look at it and go, no, that can't stand. I'm sorry. Too much.
Yeah.
I know we're Templars, but too much.
Do you know what? It could be something completely different, where maybe it's just an Inquisitor who took a disliking to him and just said, you know what, screw this guy.
It's possible, but then It's possible, and I think that that's the easy route, and I would advocate for that route anyway. But that would imply that the Inquisitors had to make up deeds so atrocious that this Black Templar has supposedly done that it's put a shiver down the spine of tall flipping Garridan.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's a hard one. Do you know what? I feel sorry for Black Temple players because they are raging at this.
Well, we've got Psychic Awakening 2. Hopefully we get some clarification.
Yeah. See, this is the thing.
God, what if the Black Templar turns up fighting for the Word Bearers?
This is the... Oh, no. I don't think they can take that. It's like no new models, nothing, but, you get Castellan and he's with Chaos now. Oh, yeah, they'd lose their minds. They would lose their minds.
that would be like... Do you remember the thing when someone burned their old fantasy?
Yeah,
when it became
I saw
Sigmar?
that. Was it Dark Eldar?
It was elves.
Was it elves?
Yeah, I think it was Dark elves. I think.
Sorry, not Dark Eldar.
Someone burned it when it became Sigmar. I feel like there'd be just like a mass Black Templar book and model burning, just the sacrilege of one turning to the flipping Word Bearers. that would be a sight to behold.
Yeah, yeah.
But
let's hopefully not. And hopefully next book we'll get a bit more information on it because they
agreed.
Can't do that to us.
Right. How many of the capital ships still exist from the Horus Heresy? For example, the Vengeful Spirits. I've actually done a video on this.
Cool.
I did a lore video on the flagships of the Primarchs. It's about a year and a half, 2 years old now. And I went through the capital ships of each Primarch, all their Gloriana-class battleships and stuff. And in terms of the ones that are still knocking around, you've got the Phalanx.
Yep.
You've got the Eternal Crusader.
Well, it's the Phalanx really classed as a capital ship? I thought it was like basically a space station on its own. Is it?
A station hovers. This is ship. It moves. I'm going to count it. But if you don't count it, you have the Eternal Crusader.
Yes.
So that's fine. McCrag's Honor went missing, is now back. Don't quite know what the hell happened there.
Apparently, what they called a certain Chaos Warband got hold of it, and they graffitied it all and did all their word stuff in it. I think what they called them the Corsairs. Is that what they called that warband? The Red Corsairs. They're the ones that pirated it.
Oh, did they confiscate it in the Terran Crusade?
Apparently, what happened when Guilliman came back, he had it. I don't know how he got it back. But apparently it's back in his possession now. And in the Dark Imperium book, it's mentioned, how long it took to cleanse it, and all the priests they had on there just throwing water everywhere, and the tech priests blessing everything again to calm the Bashid spirits and stuff. So yeah, it's back to being faith.
Yeah. So to go through all of them, the Invincible Reason, we don't know. The Pride of the Emperor, we don't know. The Iron Blood hasn't been seen since the end of the Heresy. Jagatai Khan's flagship, the Swordstorm, was destroyed, and he took Lance of Heaven, but we don't know what happened to it, and probably he took it with him when he got lost. Russ's ship, the Hrafnikul, I still can't pronounce it, was assumedly taken away by Russ. Yep. The Eternal Crusader mentioned, Phalanx mentioned, Conrad Kurz's Nightfall, not sure. That's probably just been passed around amongst the Night Lords.
I think we'll see a lot of confirmation of what happens to these ships in the Siege of Terror series, because I'm sure when Gilliman's force and Leland Russ's force and Lion's force, maybe ships like the Nightfall or etc. will maybe come to their demise over the orbit of terror and stuff like that. So maybe we'll get some conclusions to that very, very soon.
Yeah, it's definitely possible. I'm just quickly skinning through. The Conqueror, Angron's flagship, is still around. That's passed around by the Word Bearers. World Eaters, get those two mixed up. The Ship of the Death Guard, the Endurance, is still around. It's not the Terminus S. That's a different ship. That's Typus's ship. Actually, hang on a minute. Is the Endurance still around?
Yeah, I think it is. I think it was mentioned in the Plague.
It's not Mortarians, but it's still there.
I think it was mentioned in the Plague Lord book, if I'm not mistaken, when they were at planets.
Yeah. Vengeful Spirit, already mentioned. I think the Fidelitas Lex was destroyed, and he didn't take another one. Alpha, obviously no flipping idea. Alpha and Beta, which should have been called Alpha and Omega. Damn it! Why didn't you do that, Alpha Legion? So yeah, there's a few, not loads, but a few.
Well, yeah, there's a couple. Yeah. And the big boy ships as well. Like these are like peak Imperial ships. So when they turn up, you best run.
Yeah, you can't even make Glorianas anymore.
You more or less, you need to get out of there unless you've got like a massive fleet. So just don't engage these.
Quite. I can't quite answer that question about the Ogor Moor tribes just because I haven't read the lore enough. Basically, I think the answer to your question about surviving tasting a great Moor pot is no, but I'm willing to be corrected. Khan vs. Gotrek. Gotrek can kill Nagash in a single round and Archaon in a single round. Khan doesn't stand a flipping chance. Sorry. Okay. Has there been confirmation on whether or not Primanius Calgar regained his limbs during the Primaris process? Because he had them ripped off.
If I recall correctly, he did. He regained everything when it came to that. Because basically, when you become a Primaris Marine, they make you again. There was a certain extract from the Dark Angel Index Imperialis, in the White Dwarf, where there was a Dark Angel who was going to be put into a dreadnought. He was, grievously wounded, but instead, he was too wounded. Oh yeah, he was too wounded. And instead they upgraded into a Primaris Marine instead, and apparently he's A-OK now. So that opens a lot of questions as well. It's like,
yeah, my thought process behind it is that a dreadnought was a guaranteed fail. The Rubicon, they weren't sure, so they just tried it and it worked. That's my best answer to that.
I think the question that opens up to that now is, what can you achieve if you get upgraded? Like, can you get Bjorn out of his dreadnought and try and Rubicon him?
I think, to be honest, Bjorn, I think they wouldn't bother because wolves are wolves. But yeah, what's interesting about the Primaris with the Belisarian Furnace in particular, because I've done some research on this, the Belisarian Furnace is bananas. Like, everything that thing can do is ridiculous. Like, it's a resuscitatory booster that allows you to survive the Rubicon. And also, if you activate it, you can survive having your mind wiped without losing your memory.
Belisarius Cawl is one of the most ridiculous, awesome characters I've ever come across. Like, again, like you mentioned, the great work. For those of you who haven't read it, you need to read it. His character... Because when I got that book, I was expecting a complete different, like a beep, boop, beep kind of character, but he's not. It's fantastic what kind of character you get. It's really good.
Yeah, because they retconned him back into the heresy by putting him in Wolfsbane while he was still human. But I think the biggest critique of Call is that, same as Yvraine, he's a bit of a walking plot device.
Yeah.
Where he turns up, he fixes a problem. But unlike Yvraine, at least he's had a few books now where he gets a personality. I don't feel like Yvraine's quite got that personality and that uniquity to her, aside from, she can raise the dead. She's a walking plot device.
Yeah. Yeah, I love Cole. I love everything about him. I think he's so cool. Hopefully we'll get some more books surrounding him and his adventures, because I love all this kind of technology and stuff. And he's like the peak Imperium technology. So, unleash him. Let's do it.
Fair. Not strictly a 40k question. Have any of you played any historical war games, such as Bolt Action? And what are your opinions on games of this type?
I haven't played it, but I used to be a massive collector. That's what actually got me into modelling. Back when I was a kid, I used to, get Lancaster bombers, Spitfires, Hurricanes, all that kind of stuff, build them all, assemble them all, hang them from my room as a child, on those little see-through strings and stuff like that. I was massively into that. I haven't really ventured down into the tabletop aspect of it, no, but maybe one day. I think I'd like to do it. If anything, I would love to choose the era of kind of the Roman era or the revolutionary, not the revolutionary, the Napoleonic era, Napoleon and stuff like that. I don't know. I love seeing lines upon lines of soldiers stacked back onto each other, just marching into each other. I think that's the really cool thing.
That is fair. Okay. Ooh. Since we have confirmation that Men of Iron are alive in the modern-day Imperium, do you think that the Omnissiah, the Dragon of Mars, or whatever else that thing is rather than a Catan, sort of like a governing body for the Men of Iron that is also deliberately holding back the Mechanicus as one last FU to mankind?
I have no idea what it could be. There was a really interesting short story with that robot from the Blackstone Fortress, and basically, kind of a spoiler thing, there was these two tech priests that discovered the Blackstone Fortress, and he was on the Blackstone Fortress, and he basically said he like pretended to be like an Imperial robot and stuff because he didn't want his mission. And he got to a point where they're trying to shut him down and stuff like that. And they were like, "Buy the Omnissiah." And the words he stated is like, "I knew the Omnissiah, and he would be very disappointed in you before killing him." So he's kind of like, "Oh, this guy knew the Omnissiah. What is this now?" So he actually knew what he was like.
Omnissiah. Because some of the Mechanicus referred to the Omnissiah as being the Emperor. They the physical embodiment of the machine cod. So it's interesting does this robot mean, oh, I met the Emperor, he's not that all he's cracked up to be? Or does he actually mean, I met the Omnissiah?
This is the thing.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. So more Men of Iron lore. I can't believe I'm saying that in 2019. I'm asking for Men of Iron lore. What? Okay, let's see here. This is a fitting question. Why Imperial Fists?
Why Imperial Fists? Oh boy, where do I begin?
You have 5 minutes.
Right, okay, 5 minutes. Countdown. The best thing I have to say about the Imperial Fists is I'm a massive fan of architecture. I'm in the construction trade. Is real life. I love building things as much as like the Imperial Fists love building things. I love castles. I know that's such a weird thing to say. I'm so glad I'm English because we have an abundance of castles in my country. It's like everywhere you go, it's like, oh, there's a castle. There's a castle. There's a castle here. We have a lot of towers and castles. That's what my country's founded on. Also, the whole aspect of loyalty, I really, really love about them. It's like just like the Custodians' duty is everything to them. The Imperial Fists are kind of like a mini format of that when it comes to the Marines. Of course, you can argue the Custodians are more, but the Imperial Fists are all about duty. That's why one of my favourite scenes was between Dawn and Sigismund when he abandoned his duty, and Dawn kind of had a little rage at him and stuff like that. You know, that was your duty and stuff. And also Void Warfare. This is more so in the Horus Heresy. They were kind of like the Void specialists, and I absolutely love naval engagements. I think it's so cool. I mean, like these old school, naval engagements with cannons and stuff like that. And in 40k, when you have these kilometer-long ships, it always comes down to, okay, we're a couple of feet off each other, just fire each macro batteries at each other and stuff like that. It's just these old school naval engagements that tends to happen. And yeah, I just love all that kind of stuff. It's amazing. And plus I like yellow. So that's another big bonus as well. Yellow is a really great colour. It's really hard to paint, but once you get hold of it, it's really, really fun.
That's fair. That is very, very fair, because I don't know. I think probably if I had a favourite Loyalist Legion, it's probably the Blood Angels, just because of the aesthetic. But
yeah, they are very fancy, yeah.
I can appreciate the Imperial Fists. But one of the legions that actually really stunned me when oh my god, it was 3 years ago. Oh god, it was 3 years ago when I did my Legions series. The legion that actually stuck with me for so long was the Salamanders. Like their Heresy era lore and their Crusade era lore blew me away.
Yeah, it's a lot different. Like you expect, like the Space Marines them whole are a hardy people, let's say. But the Salamanders take to the next level. They actually care about the people they're defending. I'm not saying like the Imperial Fists don't care, but there's a means. Like if there's to stop in the war, okay, we'll have to sacrifice those few hundred, or like a couple of thousand of people to stop the war. They do that. The Salamanders wouldn't. They would always put the humans and humanity first, and I think that's a fantastic aspect to them. That even though like these hulking, gene enhanced, let's call them monsters because that's what they kind of are to like normal people, they will still always put you first before anything else.
Yeah, and their culture back on Nocturne,
the culture is great. Yeah,
it was in, I think, Heresy Book 3 of the Red Books. It talks about the culture of the Salamanders on Nocturne and how the reason they had 7 companies is because of the 7 sort of cities on Nocturne, and each company was sort of assigned to guard one, and was sort of they lived amongst the people rather than up in some big like obsidian tower or whatever.
Very, very cool. I like the whole ritual.
Indeed.
I think that this ritual's more 40k now, where they go and slay one of the dragons that's in the inner core of the planet and stuff like that, and like take its cloak to like wear among their cells, and it's like their kind of personal armor and stuff. So there's always a part of Nocturne with them wherever they go and stuff. I think that's a really, really cool aspect as well. I love that.
Yeah. Okay, sorry, I'm going to have to accelerate a little bit because I'm trying to see this to... No. Right. Out of all the Primarch loyalists during the heresy, is Russ considered a failure? Is there anything that he actually did other than injuring Horus? Now, I'm going to quickly defend Leman Russ, and I'm only going to do this once as a Thousand Suns lover. I'm going to defend him once. He did what he was told and led a successful invasion of Prospero. He was an idiot in doing so, but he did, because he was deceived by Horus like a spanner.
Yeah.
After that, he then went and naffed off, got ambushed in the Alaxes Nebula, probably should have died, then decided that he actually wanted to die, had it talked out of him by Bjorn, and then he went back to Terra, was told, Russ, stay here. I'm going to go kill Horus. No, I'm going to go kill Horus. No, you can't kill Horus. Watch me. And he failed. And then he's out the game for the rest of the heresy because he was so severely wounded. Then he comes back to Terra after it's all over, has a punch-up with Lionel Johnson, and then naffs off again.
Yeah, Russ is a kind of, let's say he's a complicated character. But in Wolfsbane, I'm convinced that it's Russ's, this is a bit of a spoiler, but it's what Russ does to Horus would eventually be Horus's downfall. I think Sanguinius will I think Sanguinius will play a big part in it, but I think initially Russ has put the foundations of his downfall in place.
Yeah, there is implications that chink in Horus's armor, supposedly left by Sanguinius, may actually have been caused by Russ.
Yes.
We will see in Siege 7 or Siege 8 whenever they do that fight, I suppose.
Yeah. I don't see him as a failure. I think he was loyal. Yes, like you stated, the biggest failings is probably Prospero, but you can't blame that on him. Horus played him like a flute, let's say. And
then he fought the Alpha Legion and should have died. Yeah. Then he wanted to die. Then he disobeyed every single order to try and kill Horus. Failed epically. Then had to sit out the rest of the Horus heresy. I can see the argument.
But I'll never agree with it because I love him too much. He's my boy. I could never go against Mr. Wolflord.
Yeah, that's fair. Right. What do the Tau give to their human auxiliary forces to defend their planet? Do they use Tau weapons, or do they make their own version of Imperius weapons? Also, has there ever been a case of a non-Tau using a battle suit? I'll take that in 3 sections. Quite often, humans will keep mostly their own technology, like flak armor, las guns, and the like, because it's what they're used to. It's what they can make without the Tau needing to be there to babysit them. There will probably be some software integrated. So, for example, better communication software, possibly the use of anti-grav APCs, as opposed to chimeras. They may issue pulse rifles to certain units, but generally they stay very much with their old gear.
Yeah, I think it's more of a creed they adopt to rather than the technology side to it. It's like the greater good. As for the second part of non-Tau using a battlesuit, one thing I learned while I was doing some research is that Tau battlesuits are hard-coded with security measures, so that if someone who is not the pilot tries to pilot it, they get fried. Like a judge gun. If you pick it up and you're not a judge, your hand blows off, so fail-safe, more or less.
Yeah, and the other thing to consider is Tau are quite short. Yeah. Humans don't fit.
It's true, yeah. They're very, very short, yeah.
That is a point to consider as well. Right. Are there any more that I can get to? No, I think I'm going to call it there for questions. Apologies if we didn't get to all of them, just because there were some really good ones and some huge discussions that we got to have, and I wouldn't change that. But apologies. If you want to leave some questions, Ren will be back next show. So you can absolutely leave them for him as well. So, is there anything else to discuss? whether something that we've talked about and want to go back to, or something that we forgot earlier. Anything on your mind?
No, not really. Mephiston is probably coming very soon, and I can't wait to see him. That's about it, really. That's the big thing. Well, I say the big thing. The Black Library stuff on Sunday, big reveal, and the end of the month reveal for Mephiston. That is what I'm looking forward to now. So, hopefully. Soon.
Yeah, that's totally fair. So I think we are roughly at time because we started a little bit early. So thank you very much to Valrak for coming on the show. It's been an absolute pleasure. I think this is the first time that we've spoken to each other in a long time. I think we had a very brief conversation a long while ago, but it's been a while.
Yeah, I'm always up for like this may sound really, really odd, but I actually don't go on YouTube a lot. Like when I go on YouTube, I just like watching bat reps and stuff. Even though I have a YouTube channel, I actually don't spend a lot of time on YouTube and stuff like that. But if anyone wants to come and chat to me, I'm just on Discord. Like you just come and message me in Discord. Come and message me and we'll have a nice little chat. And talk 40k. That's me.
Absolutely. Yeah, and to be fair, I'm kind of the same. Like I watch a lot of YouTube, but I don't watch that much hobby YouTube. I keep up with the people I follow, but I don't like go all in on watching everything that there is to do with hobby.
There's so much now. I love how 40k is at the moment. There's literally there used to be a time where there's nothing, and now there's just oh my god, there's so much things to watch, and I love it. It's great. I love all these YouTube channels popping up. Everyone's different from each other. Everyone has different views. It's great. It's a great time to be a 40k fan, and that's what I really, really love. It's awesome.
Yeah, this community, whilst it has its issues in some places with one thing or another, this community has genuinely been brilliant. And I'll be honest, while I was abroad in France doing my third year of degree, doing the channel and interacting with the community was what kept me sane. Nice. I'm not gonna hide that. So yeah, thank you very much. I'm amazed that despite not taking a breath, we filled 2 hours despite never having had a conversation of more than 10 minutes before.
That's 40k fans. So we just talk 40k. That's it.
That is the power of the hobby. So that will be it. This is episode 83 of Adeptus Podcastus. Next episode will be on the 40k Theories channel. Remleiz will be back. He's going to take the even numbers and I'm going to take the odd numbers from now on. I don't have to deal with the schmoz of episode 100. I know it would give me loads of views, but I don't care. I don't want to deal with that schmoz. Remleiz can deal with it now. So if you want to leave your questions for us, then do so in the comments down below. And thank you very much for watching. This has been Tactica Imperialis.
And it's me, Valrak. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much for watching, everybody. We'll see you all again. Bye for now.